Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the worst things you can do on Amtrak. All right, guys, so this is a list of the things that we think are some of the worst things that you can do on Amtrak. The very first one is picking a mixed service route or just picking by lowest fare.
Yeah, I'm going to pull this up on the computer for you over at Amtrak.com just to show you what we're talking about here. And we've typed in LAX, Los Angeles Union Station, to Emeryville, EMY. And you can see the very first thing that pops up, it's going to sort this by departure time. So you see a mixed service route here. Now this route is the CoStar Light route, so you want to get the CoStar Light. If you just pick the very first train offered, you will not be on the CoStar Light. You will be on a different train and probably also a bus. So as we scroll down here, you're going to see the other thing you don't want to do is just pick the lowest fare. That's denoted here. Couple of reasons. First of all, it's a train that leaves at 5 a.m. and when you look at the trip details, you'll see that the first part of your trip is 9 hours and 25 minutes on a bus. Then you transfer for 40 minutes and you spend an hour on a train. So instead of getting the CoStar Light, you're going to be on a bus for 9 hours if you pick that one. Not exactly what you want to be doing. So you'll need to scroll all the way down. Here's another one that might look enticing. It's the fastest one, and right here, but for some reason this is going to put you on a bus for 2 hours and then you'll transfer in Bakersfield to the San Joaquin train. Still not the CoStar Light, even though that is faster than the CoStar Light. The CoStar Light is going to show up all the way down at the bottom. I just passed it at 9:51 a.m. This is the one you want because over here on the left hand side you'll see the name CoStar Light and the train number 14 instead of mixed service. If you get mixed service, that means you're getting on a bus or two different trains. If you see the CoStar Light, that's the train you want. You'll notice it's $1 more than these other ones and a few more dollars than the cheapest one. So if you order this by cheapest price, you are not going to get the right train, and it is not going to be what you want to do. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely something that could hamper your trip if you're not expecting to be on a bus for 9 hours. I mean, if it's a 10-hour, 11-hour journey and you're on a bus for 9.5 hours of that ride, you're barely on the train. That doesn't even, it doesn't make any sense. But, I understand they're trying to show you what your best deals are, but when you're really only saving $1 or $6, it just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to do that.
That is literally the worst thing you could do.
It really could seriously ruin your trip, especially if you're doing this because you want to take a train ride. Well, of the 11-hour journey, 9 of it is going to be on a bus. That's not going to be very fun.
No.
That's really going to literally ruin your entire trip. So the next one is, the next worst thing that you can do is planning a timed event or thing or ticketed event directly on schedule of your train. So let's say your train gets in at 9:25 a.m. That's what they're telling you from when you purchase your ticket, and you have a flight at 10:30 a.m. or you have an event that you need to be at. That's going to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and we've seen this a lot with people that take cruises. They'll have a cruise and they'll think, oh, the cruise I can get on by 4 p.m. Train gets in at 11 a.m. That's fine. That is not fine because the trains are often 6 to 8 hours late. And in fact, you should just plan on that. So you should not have anything planned on your day of arrival. You should plan to stay the night in your city and then wake up the next day and do whatever you're going to do. If you're doing anything other than that, you are setting yourself up for a lot of stress on the train because they will almost assuredly, if you're on a long distance train from Chicago going west or from the west to Chicago, they will almost assuredly be late. It may be by 20 minutes, it may be by an hour, it may be by 12 hours. Yeah, they're never really generally late more than 12 hours, so you're pretty safe to schedule something for the next day. So just don't do it on the day of arrival. We've seen so many people on the train just be so stressed, and they're calling their travel agent, and their whole train trip is ruined because a lot of times we'll leave Chicago and the train will leave Chicago 3 hours late. You're already 3 hours late. They're not going to make that up. And then you're worried about it for the entire 50 hours you're on the train. We've seen people that their whole trip is ruined just because they're stressed about what's going to happen when they get there. So that's a big mistake.
Yeah, definitely a huge mistake. These people, I remember these people were so stressed because they had a cruise that they were trying to make. I think it took off at like 3 or something, and we just kept getting later and later, and they were trying to figure out if they could get off at stations before our final destination to try to take an Uber or try to get a driver or a taxi to get them to the cruise port. It was so stressful. I was stressed for them, and it didn't even have anything to do with me. So that's definitely one that you shouldn't do. I even heard one time someone was trying to get to court, and they were running late on the train. So that's a pretty big thing too. You just can't plan on it. You need to understand that these trains are going to be late, and you need to build that into your travel day.
Yeah, do not take it to your wedding.
That's right.
So the next one is going to be to pay attention to boarding. The worst thing you could do is just become lackadaisical as boarding time approaches. This is not like an airport or an airline where they're going to do, families, and they're going to do first class, and they're going to do second, and then zone 1, zone 2, zone 6, zone 8. That's not going to happen. It's going to be, hey, the train's here, everybody get on. We're now boarding, and then a couple minutes later, we're not boarding. The train is gone. So if you're at a big station, it'll take a little bit longer, but if you're at a small station, something like a Burbank, which is an unmanned station, the train will literally only stop for 3 minutes or less. And if you are not out there, if you're like at your car, you ran back to get something, the train pulls up and they don't see anybody on the platform, they're going to be gone in 2 minutes and you will miss it. Even at a manned station, we've seen this happen in Kissimmee, where it's about a 10 to 12 minute stop because they got to get bags off there for people usually. So it'll pull up and they'll make an announcement over the speaker, train what such and such is now boarding. 10 minutes later, that train is gone. And we were sitting in the station one time with a girl who was supposed to get on the train before us, and they pulled up, they made the announcement, she wasn't really paying attention, it was gone, and then we didn't know what train she was on, or we'd have told her, but she was like, hey, when is train such and such gonna board? We're like, that train left.
That's the train that just passed us. It's amazing to me how easily you can miss the trains because, like you said, some stations, it's a little bit longer because there's more people getting on and people getting off. So there's the waiting for the luggage coming off. But when it's a smaller station, there may be nobody getting off and you may be the only person getting on and you miss the train altogether. And in those unmanned stations, boy, you have to really be alert, because when that train comes in there, if they don't see anybody on the platform, they'll just keep scooting. They'll literally stop the train for 10 seconds and then just keep moving.
Yeah, it is something you really have to pay attention to, and it can be confusing. So ask questions when you see people. When you get to the station, ask questions. You just need to make sure that you know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and where you need to be to board, because the second problem with those really short stops is it's a really long train, and you could be on the wrong end of the platform and have a 5-minute walk to get to the other side that you need to get on, but it's only a 3-minute stop.
Yeah,
so,
and they don't always open all the doors is the thing, so you can't just hop on anywhere on the train. You have to hop on at certain places, so you do really have to pay attention. It's not so much that you have to get there really early, but you do have to be there on time. Even if the train might come late, you have to be there and paying attention the whole time, because they don't always open all the doors. If they know just one person is getting on in coach, they're only going to open the coach door. If only one person's getting on in sleeper, they'll only open the sleeper door. So if you're at the wrong place, like Rob said, you're gonna have a hard time getting to the right spot where there's actually an open door.
Yeah, this is not some situation where they're gonna call your name over a loudspeaker. Like at an airport, they do that, but they will not. So the next one is going to be sort of similar, but this is paying attention when you get off the train at a station stop, a fresh air break, anything like that. Again, they do not wait for people who miss the train. They just leave. They will call all aboard, they'll honk the horn, and then a few minutes later, the train leaves. So if you're in a store or you go into town, you're caught in a line, you will miss the train and you will not be able to get on a train until the next day.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one because we have seen this happen. People go into the convenience store that's nearby and they're trying to buy some snacks or whatever for the train, and then the next thing you know is the train is pulling out of the station and they're running alongside on the platform, not making it back onto the train.
Yeah, just the rule of thumb is stay on the platform unless they tell you you can go into town. Sometimes they will say, we have 2 hours here, you can go into town, but be back by this time. Then you can do it. If they don't tell you you can leave the platform, don't leave the platform. Stay where you can see the train and hear the train because it is a quick process. They get that train going pretty quickly. So next one we see a lot, and happened to us the first time until we figured out how to rectify this situation, which is not having a way to charge all your devices.
Absolutely, and this applies for both coach and in sleeper cars in a little bit different manner. So in a sleeper car, most of the time in the sleeper rooms, you're only going to have one outlet available. Not one outlet with two ports, but just one outlet. So you can only charge one thing at a time. So what we do is we travel with our travel adapter, which is linked below in the description. And this travel adapter is amazing because we can actually charge 5 things at one time. You can plug it in, and then you can plug something, an electrical item into it, but it also has USB ports and USB-C ports, so you can charge 4 things there, 1 in the front, and you've got 5 things that you can plug in at once. And then in coach, there's a couple of options for you here. In coach, there are 2 electrical outlets available, 1 for each person in the seat. But if you are sitting next to somebody that you don't know, they may be taking up both of them. And you can say something to them like, hey, I need to charge my phone, no problem. But if you don't feel like having a whole conversation with them, we always travel with a portable charger. Then we don't have to worry about not having access to a port. The other thing is that you can again use the same travel adapter and charge several things at once, and that way you don't have to worry about hogging up the whole, to travel to both electrical outlets if you're in coach. So that's a couple of options for you in coach and one option for you in a sleeper car as well.
All right, next bad thing you can do is if you're on a Viewliner and you're in a sleeper car, if you bring your luggage with you and you do not check it at the station, you're gonna have a problem if you bring a lot. If you bring one small suitcase, you'll be fine. There's generally a spot overhead up by the upper level where you can put that one small suitcase. But if you have 2 big bags, there is no room in your roomette for big bags. And on the Viewliners, there are no luggage racks at all. So the luggage racks are only on the Superliners. If you're on a Viewliner, you do need to check your bag at the station and pick it up when you get to your destination. So if you get on at an unmanned station and you have a bag, generally the room attendant you can ask them, hey, I can't check a bag here. They will usually take it and put it somewhere. I don't know where they put it. Maybe an empty room, maybe some kind of closet they've got. But there's not a lot of room for that. So they kind of save that for the people who have, just gotten on an unmanned station. If you're getting on at a manned station, just go ahead and check your bag, unless you have just one small one, and then you could put it overhead.
The next one is that I think a lot of people are under the impression that there is no security on Amtrak. And that is a pretty big mistake to make if you're planning on doing anything fishy, because there is security. You don't see them. They may not always be dressed in a uniform that says Amtrak police with their dog, but they are there. They look just like regular passengers, and they also do random checks on the trains as well. So that's a big one also to pay attention to.
Yeah, it does look like there is no security, but there definitely is security. And they were very serious about what they do. So
Very
if you're doing
serious.
something, they will find you. That's a good thing if you're not doing anything. But yeah, you'll find sometimes the train will get stopped and you'll see a bunch of pickup trucks roll up to the train, and they'll bring some sniffer dogs on and just check the whole train. So it could be not even someone that's on the train. They'll stop the train in the middle of just nowhere, so that if they find something, you've got nowhere to go. And we've seen that. We've had that happen several times, where they've stopped the train for a half hour and just checked the whole train for substances. So you don't want to be doing anything that is not passable through security, because they definitely are there.
Yeah.
Next one's going to be talking about kind of the same thing. The attendants on the train, they won't make a big fuss, but once they do make a fuss to you, you kind of need to do what they say pretty quickly. And if you're doing something out of the ordinary, they will bring you in the line. So if you're in coach, one of the things that people do that they get on them for is they spread out and use an entire seat for themselves.
That's right. They take up, if you're just a single traveler, solo traveler, the seats are always set up in twos. And if you take up, you think to yourself, oh, there's nobody sitting here, I'll just take up both seats. You spread out all your stuff, you set yourself up like you got a whole little cubby there. And then the next thing you know, you hear them say, hey, we've got, 100 people getting on this next stop, which has happened before. And they say every single seat is going to be taken up, move your things. You better move your things, because that means they are 100% going to be bringing on a lot of people, and they're going to take up all those spots. So don't think because you have 2 seats to yourself for part of the trip that you're going to be able to maintain that for the whole trip. You paid for 1 seat, that's what you get. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can't just spread your stuff out and think that you can ride that way the whole time.
This next one is going to be not getting a hotel near the station. And oftentimes it's fine, because the hotels near the station are generally more expensive. You're right in the downtown area, like in New York City or something. But going back to one of the first things we talked about, this train is generally not going to be on time. So you could be getting into the station very late. We've gotten into Chicago at 3 a.m. before, just when we were supposed to be in around dinner time. And because our hotel was very close to the station, we're still able to just walk there. I think it's a little bit more difficult if you have to make a 20-30 minute drive in the middle of the night, or you were planning on walking and now it's super late and you don't want to walk that far, or whatever the case may be. It could be colder if it's in the winter. We generally try to stay near the station. We will link this below. We do have an article on our website of the best hotels near the major Amtrak train stations that we've stayed in and that we think are good to stay in.
Yeah, and that's really a smart one, because like you said, you could arrive in the middle of the night if your train is running late, which it likely will be running late. Doesn't always mean it's going to be in the middle of the night, but you don't want to be walking around someplace in some, areas in the middle of the night. Sometimes you can't even get a cab in the middle of the night in some places. So just make the accommodation for yourself someplace as close as possible, because that's going to be, your safest bet. And you don't want to get stuck having to sleep like at the station, which some of them actually don't even let you do. So
next one's going to be not having a guest rewards profile to earn points with your trip, because that's going to get you free rides.
Exactly, and this doesn't even, we'll talk about the card, the Amtrak Guest Rewards card, but the Guest Rewards account, you don't have to have anything. It's completely free to sign up for it. So if you plan on taking an Amtrak train trip or multiple ones, whatever the case may be, you might as well sign up for it. It's free and you get the miles and you can use that towards, you can continue to earn on that and get free rides. We do it all the time. Now we expedite ours to earn even more points because we have the Amtrak Guest Rewards card, and you can earn a lot more points by purchasing your train ticket using that, and you also get discounts on the train, like in the snack car. If you buy anything there, you can get a discount there as well back on your card. We do have a lot of that information also on our website, groundedlifetravel.com, which kind of breaks down the guest rewards program for you and also gives you information on the MasterCard as well.
Yeah, the credit card has been good to have. You don't have to have it to be in the program, but if you do have it, it's going to get you up to your status level a little bit quicker. You can earn more status and you'll end up getting more points, better customer service, lounge access, stuff like that. So it is worth getting if you want to check that out.
Yeah, so guys, hopefully these will help you to avoid a disastrous trip on Amtrak. These are definitely some of the worst mistakes that you can make on your Amtrak trip. So steer clear of these and you should have a great ride.